Good evening. You're listening to the Moonlight Lounge. If anyone's ever watched or studied or done things that, oftentimes you just look for answers, but sometimes by the end of the day, you haven't really found answers, but you found yourself struggling. Well, hopefully through prayer and quiet meditation, we can reflect on our day, look back at the things that we've encountered, and we can learn to resolve conflicts. It's too easy to get angry at the things around us and let them get under our skin, more or less. I hope what we can offer here at the Moonlight Lounge is spiritual answers to the everyday problems. I know that a lot of people look to like spiritual counseling, they look to 12-step programs. Some of those things I think lay the groundwork for why I think a lot of people need to feel acceptance, love, peace. And if you don't find it at home, where do you turn to? And oftentimes I look to what's going on our streets that a lot of people look to gangs. They look for that sense of, acceptance. If you don't find it at home, where are you going to find it? And I hear a lot of people say, they need to feel accepted. I think everyone that I know, it's a human need that has to be met, is finding acceptance at home. That you are important, that what you have to say does matter. Worth and value is not dependent on what people think of you. It depends on what God has done in your life. And oftentimes God gets overlooked. We get angry and just know that we're not going the right direction in our life, or maybe there's circumstances that are out of your control. I'd say overall, most of the problems that happen around us are out of our control. If you've grown up with a critical parent or family members that are critical of you constantly, which I think a lot of us can fall into that, we oftentimes don't have an answer because we've been so used to criticism, so used to that we're completely turned off by that. Oftentimes people that are from dysfunctional homes, they crave functioning structure more. It's very true. So I hope the function here is that we offer answers and solutions, things that I think are hopefully helpful. There's components to healing and recovery. I definitely think on a spiritual level for most of us, we know that that's really what it comes down to, because as human beings, we need love, we need grace, we need mercy, we need peace. We need to start and end our days peacefully. A lot of times what I've heard, and it's very true, if you want to have a long, healthy marriage, you don't leave problems unresolved. You discuss it and you go to bed. I would think that if you're going to have a problem and you haven't discussed it before bed, it would probably be wise not to. Or ask to see if you can meet with them and discuss something if you can. Some problems need quick solutions, some don't. Some have to be put on hold. I say schedule an appointment if you need to. And that goes for family as well. I know there's a lot of hurt and rejection. There's a lot of people who are very wounded, including myself. Many of us have lived through a lot of tough experiences. I would like to emphasize a lot of our time together on ways to heal and recover quickly from who knows what we're recovering. We could have a hard day. And I think a lot of people are having more difficult experiences. They're coping with things that they never coped with. They're struggling with problems they never struggled with before. They're coping with financial problems they've never had before. A lot of times, what I've heard, and there was a quote, is that there are people that are going into a storm, there are people that are in the middle of a storm, and there are people coming out of a storm. Seems like all of us at some point have been through some storms in life. And that port in the storm, an anchor to me, is Jesus Christ. And I hope through this, as we grow and we heal and recover from the struggles that are before us, that we don't concentrate on the problem as much as we concentrate on the answers and solution. I seek the Lord for these things. I pray for each person right now that is coming to this radio show. Hopefully we'll find ways together to help encourage and support one another. It's really hard to do talk shows. Over a period of time, I've learned that I don't have a lot of the energy I used to have or I don't have the time because I'm just trying to keep up with the pace of things. And maybe that's part of the problem, is trying to keep up. Maybe it's not up to me to keep up. Maybe it's for me to just take a break and say, hey, I know it's going on, but right now I'm going to have to wait on that. I think, honestly, we've given ourselves so much time to problems that we oftentimes don't get to enjoy the hard work and all the effort we put into our hard work. And some people don't call our work hard. People have different definitions for hard work. I know what it requires to get up every day. For somebody that's struggling with depression or medical problems, it just somehow it feels like it's not going to go away. That sense of that lingering feeling. I know that feeling. I know a lot of people have experienced these things. To me, they're just not feelings. It's a spiritual answer for all these conflicts that have been in our lives. They say they trust God, and you ask for the Lord for intervention. And what if it doesn't happen on your timetable? Should I struggle more? I think that's why they say keep praying. Keep praying. Don't stop praying. I know one of the things before bed, especially if you've had problems at home, it's hard to escape your problems. A lot of people look to sleep to escape. I've heard this over and over again from people that have really struggled with things, that loneliness, that trying to cope with the separation of your family. Sometimes I think even today, people are more estranged than ever, not because they don't know each other, but because they're not familiar with the things that used to be what we call love, nurturing, caring for others. I've seen loving, caring relationships turn ugly too, and it's so unfortunate. That's why I hope that we always emphasize on therapy and forgiveness and apologizing, trying to find ways to resolve. I see a lot of people apologizing over and over again, and they're begging for forgiveness, begging for forgiveness. I hope the world becomes more forgiving. Maybe this is the only step forward to offering more forgiveness. I hope we can be more forgiving. I hope we can be more merciful, because as the world gets harder and harder to deal with the problems and the conflicts that come with, I know there are a lot of people that have come through some bad experiences, but that shouldn't hold you back. The thing that holds a lot of us back is not the people, but it's the struggles, principalities. They often say there's principalities before personalities, or personality. That's something. I think I just jacked that up. So I hope that we can find ways to calmly address our problems, not aggravate already bad situations. Sometimes there's a time and a place, and sometimes we pick a wrong time and we add more fire to a problem. Sometimes problems just take time. I can sense that there are a lot of people hurting. I can feel it. I can sense it. When you come from a home where there's a lot of critical people in your life, or they don't probably do that on purpose, but to me, it's a critical spirit. And part of praying is praying against that critical spirit. Praying against it, that no weapon formed against me shall prosper. I used to watch a couple of shows at night that the only way I could go to sleep is telling a good, funny story or talking about something comedic. I think there's something to that. Laughter is the best medicine. It's true. Laughter means kind of doing silly things like, I don't know. I'd be very careful by today's standards, because clowning around can get out of hand. Just like when I was a little girl, we would jump around and we would use the armchair of the couch, arm part of the couch, and we'd do flips. And I'd say, we keep doing that, and somebody would laugh and joke, and we would just keep doing it. It was like feeding the attention. And I think a lot of people like attention. There's nothing wrong with having a lot of healthy attention. I'm not sure why some people divide this issue up like as if we're all unique in this way. No, I think we all need healthy attention. We all need healthy families. We all need healthy people around us that are healthy enough to give us a lot of time to be human, make mistakes, learn. If you're not learning and growing, I don't know how we can get through this. I've been around people that are very hard, very, very hard on people, and they don't know when to put a stop to that. They need to kind of stop playing the, I don't know if they're trying to play a role or acting out something, but over a period of time, that harsh behavior or that harsh criticism gets us nowhere, especially from people that have been deprived of good, healthy, nurturing relationships. The last thing you need is more harsh criticism, okay? And I have to put those people out of my life. And I'm learning over and over, time and time again. I have to accept the fact that I cannot change them. I learned something from a nurse whose son was addicted to, I want to say he was addicted to Adderall and methamphetamines. She said my life was getting so crazy and crazier. I was becoming more crazy and he was just doing his drug. Meaning that a lot of these people go to sleep, they're high all the time, and they're not thinking about the people they're hurting around them. She said it wasn't until I learned how to let it go and I stopped, I had to accept the fact that maybe he might die. I came to that too. I have had people in my life that are drug abusers that I can't do anything to fix their problem. I tried and it was a mess. You've seen all the things that we got caught up in. And I was turning to people about recovery. What can we do to recover? How can we be the healthier people? And a lot of the things they told me was true. You have to walk away. You cannot live with these people if they're actively, if they're an active addiction and it's hurting you. You need to just close the door and keep it shut for a while. And there are families that are hurting people. There are people at work that hurt people. If you're working in an environment where there's abusive people, you have to change jobs. I did not like this answer. I found a great job, but the people around me were not helpful. They weren't helping me as a person. If you're going to a job, you want to look for the job that not only best fits you, but your goals. And it's about personal growth. It's about healing. It's about good relationships. And you might have to change careers. And you might have to change where you live. And you may have to make changes. But those things, those outside changes don't really change the situation. What it does is that you still have to deal with the problems in front of you. You still have to cope. You still have to find ways to make a living. And changing a job is not easy for some people. But if it gets to that point that you have to make changes, and we're talking about serious changes, changes that you know you have to make. You can't keep living the way you are. You can't keep doing what you're doing. And you have to look at your own behavior. That's when you can start making changes. When you realize that you've made some reckless decisions or you've said something that's so hurtful that you got to own the behavior. This is called taking personal responsibility. By taking responsibility doesn't mean you have to be constantly criticized. I said the wages of sin is death. But there's also an answer about sin. The only answer to sin is salvation. So you got sin, but then you have the answer. And people, once they accept Jesus Christ, they immediately might feel relief. They might immediately say, oh my gosh, the Lord can heal my body. Yes, he can heal you of anger. He can heal you of that constant criticism. He can heal your life. I've seen it over and over again. Now, that doesn't mean that you might not have things that come up from time to time, but the more you let go and the more you trust Jesus Christ, the more we learn to lean on him and not lean on our own understanding, my goodness, all of a sudden things start to click, things start to happen. I know, I've thought this through. I've thought over and over, well, what does that mean? If I accept Jesus Christ, does that mean that if I delve into this word sin again and again and again and again, well, that's the nature of human beings. The idea is salvation gives us the authority to overcome that sin. I don't know that we're going to have a quick fix for anything over time, because the Bible states that you have to seek him daily for the answers. And the stronger we are in the Lord, the more wiser we're going to get, the more willing we're able to answer those calls. And then we're starting to heal, and then we start to recover. And all of a sudden, things start to make sense over time. I know many of us have turned to a lot of other things, and we know that it may have give us temporary relief. And I look to the Lord and I say, oh my goodness, His peace is with me. If I just accept it, if I just stop talking about the problem, eventually God is going to restore it in His time. He might not restore it when I want it, and I found this out to be the case. I was waiting for it to resolve, and I could, everything's all better. I used to think that, and I don't believe that problems are carried over, but I found out another thing, that sometimes people pick right up where they left off, and you're not ready for it. So it's not to be naive about this. You're not supposed to walk in there thinking that everybody is all better and everything's been fixed because you apologize. A lot of times there are people that haven't really they don't have peace about something. And it rises again and again. And I've talked about Gershall therapy and recovery. There are methods. Some people turn to those things, exercise, fitness, and I look at dance movement, all these other methods where you can turn to escape. I hope what we can offer here at the Moonlight Lounge is offer a therapeutic escape, therapy for the heart, mind, and soul. That's where we're going for it. It's therapy. When you can get good rest and you can sleep off your problems, that's nice, but as long as it doesn't become your only way to cope. There are other ways, like you look for any healthy escape. Walking, exercise, rest, those things really are helpful. But physical activity, getting out with people, getting to a church group where people have like an outing, those are things that you can do. Sadly, I got caught up in that whole cycle where all we did is talk about problems, and I had friends that I would call, and it was like they didn't want to hear something bad again. It was tragic because it was my own mistake. I fell into that trap of just finally talking about problems and not talking about something more than just problems. And, if you get into that pattern, it's up to you to break it. And that's why we refer to Gershall therapy, because there are patterns that whether we, learned it. And my dad once told me about learned behaviors that, you just got to recognize when you get caught up in a behavior, it's, over therapy or, like we talk about reverse psychology. It means, yeah, you need some therapy, but you also have to live. You have to balance it all out, and having a balanced diet and look into healthy alternatives is a way to do that. And if you don't have a healthy alternative right now, you're probably looking at it this way. If I don't have a healthy escape, then I'm going to turn back to the things I used to. That's why this is like rigorous. This is kind of fervent prayer availeth much. It's so true. You keep praying. You don't give up at just praying one time. Yeah, that prayer is helpful, but again, you got to pursue God. Is that once you get God's attention, you keep praying, you keep praying. Somebody said, well, who's this God thing? Well, I'm going to tell you, I've tested it out a few times myself. I was highly skeptical of God. Highly. I was like, where is He? Why isn't He here? Why did He allow this happen? I was saying, I went through this too. I honestly, and I don't want to end up there. My dad told me, and I refer to my dad because he's a very spiritual man. He said, don't put a question where God puts a period. So we're going to leave it there, because I know as we roll into the night, and I hope that whatever we accomplish throughout the day, that we can rest in Him, especially tonight. So let's end it here, and let's say a quiet prayer as we call it a day. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for this day. Thank you that you have allowed us to come to you and turn to you for answers. Lord, it's oftentimes that we overlook it. Hopefully we've stored up a lot of your promises in our heart. Can we turn to those things that are the answers to the problems today? Lord Father, when we forgive and we're more merciful and we let go and we trust you, we're always going to answer. We're always going to be better off overall, health-wise. We're going to sleep better. We're going to heal more quickly. Anytime we turn to the things of this world, and we know that that often offers a temporary answer to maybe a bigger, deeper concern. Maybe it is love and acceptance that's lacking. Instead of turning to sex, and it's love that we really need. It's not sex. It's that need to have closeness with others. It is that spiritual connection that we share with one another. So many of us crave. We look to the physical things that we need, because we do have needs, Lord Father. You know there are needs. Sometimes it's very strong and powerful. But Lord, we seek you for answers, spiritual answers to a lot of the things that are going on around us. You know that there are a lot of people right now that are hurting, that need just your peace, your mercy, your grace. They need to know that they can rest in you. I know that myself included. I know when I need to rest in you. I know I need to trust you and your word more. A lot of people are hurting and they don't have to hurt. And I pray for forgiveness for people around us that have had conflicts. We do bring it up time to time. It does still, I think there's still a stinging pain that is left from past conflicts, that, Lord, that we could put those things to rest. We can trust you that those conflicts, while they used to be important, we want to look to the things ahead of us. We want to find a way to not drag up these problems every day. I know a lot of us are still not healed completely from our past problems, that you would help us in recovering going forward, that we would retreat to the Moonlight Lounge, we would find peace and rest in you, rest in your mighty wing. Lord, I pray that we can let go of our conflicts. We can let go over time. We can heal. We can rest in you. We can. I know it's very hard for some of us who are skeptics that believe that sometimes these problems just don't go away. It seems like that's been the case for some of us. Can't let go because it still hurts. There are real deep wounds that only you can heal within us spiritually. Many of us have lost family. Many of us have just recently endured a recent death. We haven't even gotten to the point where we're ready to even come to understand it. That you would just give us your joy, your peace. They say the joy in the midst of suffering. I've known that peace. Some of us are struggling with things. It's because we haven't been able to even know where to start when it comes to letting go of our anger and our hurt. I think deep down, many of us who are angry are just deeply hurt. We haven't really had a remedy for every problem out there. I don't know that we would. But we do know overall the remedy is to turn to you and seek you for answers. Yeah, I think we do ask questions. Why has there been so much violence? Why is there abuse? Why are there problems today? But I think, Lord, there are a lot of big questions that we ask. But Lord Father, that just for now, we let it go and we leave it at the cross, that you would give us your peace, your mercy, your grace, your comfort. So many of us need that nurturing, that rest. Some of us require a lot more rest, especially if we've been sick or ill or restless about some things, that, Lord, you would just provide us with that comfort tonight. In Jesus' holy name we pray. Amen. I want to wish all of you a very sweet dreams and good night.